Jacqueline's like, stop it. Hey y'all, happy Wednesday. It's Stats Week. I'm sorry, I can't not yell. I'm gonna figure it out. It's Stats Week, and it's Family Reunion Week. Oh, yes, friends. I like that energy. And there is a lot of technology. This isn't going to be proper English. There's a lot of technology tidbits flowing out already ahead of Family Reunion this weekend that we've noticed. I posted on the page. I'm already off the agenda, so just throw it out the window. I posted on the Facebook page this morning, when you go into your command app, you do have to update it, and then in your top left corner, you click on your face. You're going to see there, QR code available. You now have your digital business card in your phone, which will have links to everything that's linked in your market. Look at Jacqueline. She's like Vanna. Exhibit A. If you want to talk about it afterwards, like stick around. I'll be here afterwards to talk about the family reunion planning stuff so we can walk through that together. We had a little training session earlier. So I'm going to start with bucket fills and say thanks to Movement for feeding us today. Thanks to Evie for making us look good and be right, even when we don't or aren't. Getting our events ready all the time. Anybody else want to fill a bucket before we move on? Something good that's happening in your world? Something great that you want to share? Evie?
Yes, I'm going to advance bucket fills to Matt and Eddie also. They are bringing bagels and coffee for tomorrow. And use a real estate here in the office. Thank you
guys. Always feeding us. Happy bellies make happy humans. Nice. Okay. We have a lot coming up in trainings and events. Evie, you want to shout it out from back there? You want me to go?
Yep. So kicking off tomorrow, in-person hybrid with Steven at 8:30. It's going to be upstairs on the 3rd floor for the language of real estate. Again, with bagels and coffee sponsored by Movement Mortgage. Thank you. And then following right after that at 9:30, leverage your website via Zoom with our Director of Tech, Nick Pasquale. That's at 9:30 via Zoom. And then from then on, we're all full on family reunion from Friday through Tuesday. So there will be no training until next Thursday, the 23rd. The office is also going to be closed on Monday for President's Day. So if you have any key access needs, please get with us by Friday before 4 p.m.
If you don't know how to get into the building or disarm the alarm or set the alarm, please stop by the front desk and get that solved before the police come knock on your door. That's it. Okay. So family reunion, it's in Anaheim. So for anyone who doesn't know, Family Reunion is Keller Williams' February global convention. It's the largest. It is the annual, although Mega Camp happens. It's different. So this is our big one for the year, and it does move around the country. So this is the closest it will ever be to you, meaning it's weird. We're seeing online our friends are starting to descend to Anaheim and fly in from different places, and we're like, wait, we're just working. What's happening? But they're going to Disneyland and doing fun things beforehand. So starting Friday evening is the welcome party. Saturday things. Sunday is Gary Keller's State of the Company and Vision speech. Monday that goes on. The keynote speaker this year is Ed Milet. The Power of One More and so many other things. He's freaking awesome. And then Tuesday morning it ends with inspirational breakfast. There's so much happening in and around all of that. Evie just was able to get a ticket on the discount page right now for the original early bird price. Who said damn? Yeah, damn, she got it. So if you go to the website, you're going to see it's up by a lot of hundreds of dollars. If you're still hearing my voice today and you're like, I actually am interested, it's literally for anyone at any level of your business, right? It will never be closer, meaning you're never going to be able to just like hop in your car and drive an hour without traffic in 5 minutes from my house, or an hour and a half or 45 or whatever it is for you to get there. So that means, what does that mean to you? Why is that important? Why am I talking about it right now? They're also doing daily tickets.
They are, because the coaching plan yesterday.
They are also doing daily tickets, so if you weren't able to go for the whole thing, or you feel like that's a lot and I can't do all those days and it's really close and I can drive there, for $400 for the day, you can drive up to the Anaheim Convention Center, buy your ticket at the door, and go for the one-day access. If you're going to do the one-day access, please ask someone what's the best day to go, or if you only have one day to go, then go that day. You'll get something out of it. Just don't go in blind. We're going to have a meeting after today in person to go over the app and a plan. We've done a couple of meetings already. This is the one for the latest people who are like, okay, let's go, I'm ready for the meeting. We'll get you dialed into the agenda, the plan, all that good stuff. And also stick around after if you want to talk about the QR code, your business profile, anything like that. And then of course, our wonderful Nick will also help with any tech stuff going forward. Any questions about any of that? Because it is this weekend and it's Wednesday.
If you're on the fence about going, please go. It's really valuable.
There you have it. And the thing is, for some people, they're like, well, it's expensive, and I don't know. And I'm not here to talk about your personal budget, but on a business return on investment conversation, if you can get one referral transaction from it, which, you know, if you live in like Iowa, no offense, Iowa, I don't know that that's guaranteed to happen, but we live in San Diego, and a lot of people move to and from San Diego all the time. So the odds of you asking the right questions to make the right agent-to-agent connections to get in the room and actually go make money, I'm pretty sure the ROI for like a $20,000 commission check is pretty good on that fee to get there. So all that being said, I just want everyone to know it is for all levels. All people are welcome. And if you have other questions, hang out after and let's talk about it. Okay, and Movement Mortgage, who's talking today? Come on down. You're the next contestant on Stats Day. Careful, slap.
Slap, yeah. A couple things from us over here. So recently I've had a couple agents that have sent over clients to us. I think one of the biggest things that I want to keep on reminding my agents here is there should be some really good questions that you guys are asking clients before you're sending them over to the lender, kind of talking about possibly what their monthly budgets are, like time frames, those types of things. I have recently had a couple clients that have been sent over to me, and when we have that budget conversation, they'll be like, oh, I want to spend less than $1,000 a month on my mortgage. And as we know right now, that's not really a realistic thing unless they're bringing a ton of money for their down payment.
Or
so,
flying in Ohio.
Right, exactly. So just a couple things, when you are, starting to work with a new client, it's always good just to ask those questions. I can send you guys a list of possible questions that you can always ask just so you can kind of get an idea, understand time frames, and really what their expectations are going to be. Secondly, as we know, Fannie and Freddie, they just implemented new loan level pricing adjustments. They made huge impacts on rates. And clients, that I've gone through and I'm checking their rate to see what they were pre-qualified at, it's at a completely different level now. So if you are working with a client, they've already been pre-approved, make sure that you're talking to your lender. We say that to you guys all the time, check in with your lender. Right now is that time to do so, okay? So I'll pass you guys over to Ed for some stats.
Yeah, since we're in the mode for some stats today. You guys know that the CPI number, inflation, actually ticked down a smidge.
What's the CPI, Ed?
It's a consumer price index, y'all, and that's basically a whole basket of goods that we normally spend our monies on, and the government tracks how expensive those keep getting. Up or down, their target's 2%, we're at 6.4% year over year. Keep an eye on May 10th. It's going to be a good day for all of us. Rates are going to start coming back down. And I just posted a video that we had access to through Movement Mortgage with Barry Habib again on our internal page. So I implore you guys to go on there, listen to it. It's an hour long. Barry's for about the first half hour, and then Neil Dingra from Neil Holmes. I don't know if you guys ever see him on Instagram, but he talks about reels and how to do them the right way. So it's a great video, and I totally pilfered it from Movement Mortgage and shared it with you guys. So purchases, you guys, have fallen 6% last week, although they did spike as soon as we hit in the 5s, and then they came back down when we went back into the 6s. And it's going to continue doing this, back and forth, back and forth. The goal is to get people ready now so that when they do come in, they can pounce on it and get ready and purchase a property. Did you know that 53% of all mortgage requests came from people who are between the ages of 27 and 42? 53%, y'all. That's twice what Gen Xers are. So if y'all are targeting 65 and over, buyers, don't do it. Sorry, I had that question today posed to me, so I hope she doesn't get mad at me. Goldman Sachs came out a couple of weeks ago with some numbers. I don't know if you guys saw that. I had mentioned it, that, oh my God, we're going to have a market crash. Well, Zillow just came out yesterday with a new article with 29 different researchers, and of them, 26 are saying that it is coming down, but Goldman is now saying that it's going to be...
You're fine with time. I'm wondering why you're quoting Zillow, that's all.
Zillow, because they compiled 29 different researchers.
There it is. That's what
yeah, and I mean, it ranges from a 0.5% increase to a 20% drop. It's all over the place, you guys. So, I mean, at the end of the day, watch this video and you'll understand a little bit more about that Barry Habib's speaking on, about where the market's going, because that guy has a magic crystal ball. He's a genius. Thank you, guys.
Did you say May 10th?
May 10th. Keep an eye on that page.
Does everyone want to go mark their calendar and talk about what, is there a meeting on that day? What's May 10th? What day of the week is that? Okay, I don't know who's noticed or who's seen our special guest star in the back of the room, but Broker Bob is here in the flesh, y'all.
Thank you, everybody.
All the way from Chicago.
I just flew in on a plane, I really did. Some of you I know, some of you I know well. Some of you I don't know. If you're brand new, please, I hope to get to meet you. And give me a little leeway if I forget your name, because I've been gone for enough time that I usually just forget names. That's the way it is. But anyway, it's glad to be back. And what Ed said about the market, I wanted to say the only market you need to worry about is the market in your head. Because people are still buying and selling. So let's give a little shout out for people that are doing well in the coaching program. We have one person to notice today. Lloyd Contreras opened up an escrow on his own purchase. And then just a little broker stuff for now. And Kelly, I hope it's okay if I bring this up.
Well, it is now.
Okay, good. So there is one of our competitors has this way to submit offers virtually online, not going through card forms where you do it. What they actually do is you got to go in and put the client's information, their email address, their phone number of the client you're writing the offer for to submit the offer, and then you can see all the other offers that are on the place. I don't think technically they can allow you to have to go through that because it's a data grab. They're trying to grab your client's information, phone number, email, name. So I just make the recommendation to go ahead and just go to card forms, and fill out your card forms and submit it. They're duty bound to present that offer. So I'll look into that. If you run across it, just let me know, because I have been in contact with the competitor who uses it. I'm going to talk to them a little bit more.
With that email offer, would you CC their broker?
Or their property manager. Their broker is great, but they decentralize everything with the in-office manager. Okay. All right, that's it.
May 10th is a Wednesday.
May 10th is a Wednesday. We'll be here together. Isn't that exciting? Thanks, Deb. Thanks, Phoebe. Nice to see you in the flesh. And Robert said it's not cold. It's not cold. I woke up and was mad. It was so cold again still. He said it's warm, so stop complaining about the weather. And I'm going to bring up our lovely Ashley, and I want to double down on what Robert said and what Ashley will talk about in the meeting as well. There's more than enough business for you and your business and what you're doing in your personal business. The global market, the macro market, you're going to hear a lot about it. Listen so you understand the storylines that are out there and you can have those conversations with your friends, family, clients when they talk to you. You're listening for education, not to affect your brain. What's happening locally in San Diego is different. It will always be different here. They told me that when I moved here. I thought they were all stupid. It's true. So, it's legit. So, soak up the stats. If you're new to stats, it's like when you start reading a book. Just listen, take it in. You're not going to understand every word. That's okay. Go back to PDF, watch the recording, and ask your questions. And now, let's hear it for our lovely OB, Ashley Lunn. She's kind of a big deal.
Sarah loves that. A few years ago, just tell the story. I live out in Hamul, and we were driving, we being my mom and I, and we drove by the Little Mesa Market Center. You guys know that one? I live closer to that one than this one. And she goes, Ashley, if we popped in there, would they know who you are? And I went, oh, Mom, I'm kind of a big deal. You guys know me. She won't let me live that down. And Gail, my partner, got me a sign for Christmas that says I'm kind of a big deal. So it's behind me on Zoom now when you see me. But Sarah loves that.
She, also is like one of the favorite teachers in the country, and anyone who you bring up Ashley's name, she will say she's one of their favorite people, so she'll be modest and we'll be
Because I'm kind of a
happy to
big
have
deal.
her. She's not a big deal. She is a big deal. She's just our Ashley.
All right, so this has got reverb.
Yeah.
I feel like I should start singing.
That's good.
So I'm sitting. Usually I stand for this, but I want this to be more of a conversation. You're going to get the same stats that I always give you. But we got to get real. Last week I went to Coronado. Debbie Giametti, who is the president of the Coronado Association, and Kathy Jackson invited me over because they were having a gentleman named Alan Nevin present stats, basically, state of the economy. He's brilliant, by the way. He has been the go-to guy in San Diego for like 55 years. And at the end of this slideshow, I borrowed a few of his slides because the information he brought helped me even get more comfortable with it, where we're going to be in 2 and 5 and 10 years. And I think we should all be looking at it, okay? So right now, I'm not even going to ask. I know it's incredibly painful out there. And I know that because some of our top agents, meaning ones that have consistent businesses and have really flourished the last couple of years, have had major breakdowns in the last few weeks, to the point of going, I might want to get out of real estate. Now, because how many of you were in real estate during 2007, 8, 9? Very few of us. And I have to catch myself sometimes because that was so much worse than what we're going through that when we have a current agent going, this sucks, I want out, I kind of go, I don't do that. Internally, I do that. But just understand it's a blip. And 2007, 8, 9 was not a blip. We were in for the long haul. This is a blip, and I'm going to show you why. I don't want to, I want to honor the fact that the blip really feels like shit. And that's okay. And it really does. Now, I think, based on the numbers and based on what we see happening, that blip, that moment of time, is just going to be maybe the next 90 days. I think probably more like 60. It's going to feel really icky in that 60 to 90 days. So what? It's 60 to 90 days. We've already gotten this far. Okay? All right, so let's jump in. Let's see if I can push the right buttons. Evie! Maybe it's not on. It's not on. All right. Now we'll stand up to point. This slide is only showing you January. So if you've been coming to these meetings for a while, the numbers are going to look really small because I always do these year to date. So this is just January 2023, and then every January going back to 2019. Okay? So let's look at 2019 for a minute. At the top, the new listings brought to market in the month of January were how many? 4,316. And how many this January?
1,922.
That's a big difference. It's 55% fewer listings brought to market. Now, if you were in the market, how long ago was 2019, by the way?
12 years ago.
4 years ago, feels like 12. 4 years ago. And how many of you were active in real estate at that time? And what we were saying, oh my God, it's so competitive, we don't have any inventory. We had twice as much as we have as far as new listings than we have now. Now, in the bottom part, solds. In the month of January, which is traditionally, I don't care what market you're in, geographically, it's the slowest month of the year. Because everything that closes in January, so it would show up as a sold, likely went in December. And who's looking for property in December? Only truly the motivated. So January is always a low point. So 2019, 1,681 closed. This year, 1,254. But look at it compared to the last 2 years. But again, around 50%. Well, if available listings are going down by 50% and solds are going down by 50%, what's happening to inventory? Is it building up? No, it's kind of canceling out. Okay, so to stay on this slide for a second, when I say the next 60 to 90 days are going to be painful, it's because it has been slow with new listings coming, which means you can't sell what doesn't exist, so it's been slow with closings. Now, the numbers tell us that started to pick up the late part of January, and February has actually been good. But if I'm seeing a pickup in activity now, when do we see that in our pocketbooks?
90 days.
Yeah, 90 days, which is why I always put that slide in. So that is the National Day on May 15th, National Senior Fraud Awareness Day. Should just be National Fraud Awareness Day because you don't have to be a senior to get caught these days. Yet it's usually a targeted population. I'm going to plant this seed right now, and then I'm going to check the data a third time for next month. One of the things Alan Nevin said, and he got the information from the California Department of Finance, is that at some point in probably the next 15 years, which is a long time, but 15 years, 87% of the population in San Diego County will be over 75 years old. I have to check the data. And he actually, I have it on the slide that I stole from him. But I went, how is that even possible? Now, let's say, just for argument's sake, he was off by, some math. What if it's 50% of the population's over 75? It explains our inventory issues, and we better get really, really, really good at servicing that population and knowing what they need and filling the need, or we won't have businesses. So if you're likely going to be in real estate 15 years from now, that has to be part of what your education is now. Even if it's only 50%, and he's saying 87. Yeah. Okay. So that's why I picked National Senior Awareness Day, and it's 90 days from today. Properties pulled off the market. So you may notice, Eddie, I chose different colors for this year. Yeah. I'm not a huge fan, except of the Mexican colors, Mexico, so that's good. But I needed to contrast these because I'm always looking back. Jamaica too? Okay. But I'm always looking at the different slideshows, and when I'm looking back, it's hard to differentiate if I have the same color scheme every year. Okay, so property pulls off the market, meaning the red is expired, yellow is withdrawn, green is canceled. It was really a non-issue beginning of last year. When our market shifted in June and July, we saw those numbers double and triple in some cases. That trend has kind of continued. We're double where we were last year. But again, I think that's just going to be our new normal. It's still not a significant amount of the properties. Okay. As of this morning, compared to roughly the same time in January, we have fewer houses on the market under $1 million. A lot fewer. Over 100 fewer. But we have over 100 more pending. This is the good news, because 30 days from now we'll make more money than we did in January. Okay? And then sold, it's up slightly. That number will be above 600, obviously, in March. Over 1 million, same, fewer houses. Fewer houses. Less inventory means what is going to happen to prices.
Bidding wars.
That's it. Thank you. Okay, this is condos. Same story. Same story. And by the way, we don't usually have contracting inventory in January and February because we have new listings that people have waited to the beginning of the year that flood the market, and it takes a while to absorb them. It is not taking a while, with the exception of one price point. Okay? So I did this last month. Bridget liked the slide, so I'm going to keep it. 34% fewer listings brought to market, which means we have 34% less to sell available. Nothing you can do about that.
So get your unfair share.
Go get your unfair share. So in the mastermind earlier, I said, and Sarah just said it when we started, there were 2,732 properties brought to market in the last 6 weeks. How many of those do you need to sell? Are there enough available in that number for you to hit your goals? Yeah. So it doesn't have to impact you. What it should dictate is where your activities have to be. Because to get your unfair share, you're going to have to unfair work.
That's a share.
Okay, so now here's the 3-year trends on price point, new listings and their price points. That's, to me, somewhat heart-stopping. Because our entry-level market continues to just disappear. This has nothing to do with solds. This is what's brought to market. Under $400,000 in all of San Diego County. This is not just detached. This is detached in condos. We have 86 properties that were listed in January. It is year-to-date, January. Year-to-date, January 1st, January 31st.
Look at one from March. Will it be year to date or will it be?
It'll be March. No, it'll be year-to-date. So, good question. Ed asked, is this always year-to-date? It is. So this is January and year-to-date through the end of the month because that's how they report stats. So February, it'll be double these numbers because it'll be January and February. March will be, okay? So, but 86, under 400,000. Yes?
You know, if our median income is consistently staying where it has been the last few years, so prices are going up, but income is not really.
It is, and there's the Nevin slides will show some of that. Incomes have gone up about 5.5%. What have our properties gone up?
Yeah. A lot.
Twice that. Okay. And we're not, I mean, you can see if you were to put all these bars together and stack them, you can just visually see on this, we have a lot fewer listings that have come to market if you compare green to yellow to red. Which is why it still feels so competitive. And there's your solds. Now, what's interesting, I want you guys to critically think for a minute. They go back. What month does this represent?
January.
Okay, if I go back, how many listings, both property types, did we take in January under 400,000?
86.
How many did we sell?
150.
Which is why that's disappearing. It's that is, again, I said it's heart-stopping because it's feasible that by the end of the summer, we won't have property in San Diego under 400,000 if that trend continues. And where's the pressure on the pricing? And by the way, if you go, because there's so few, you can do the Google map, like go into SDMLS and just see where all these are. Past that, Ramona's in town.
You can also do it under KWM.
You can do it under KWS too. Okay, so snapshot list, just the listed 2022 to 2023. You can just more easily see the contrast. We're listing a lot fewer in every single price point. It's most extreme in the 700 to 800, which is where we have the most buyers, which is where it's most competitive. Okay, sold, same difference. All right, moving. I added other slides today, so I'm going a little bit faster. Active houses, 572 houses available under 950. This is just houses. 923 houses available over 950.
Is that your median line?
It's not a median. I just eyeballed it and went, oh my. Now, under $1 million is kind of normal real estate now. It used to be, not very long ago, that was the bar where we started luxury. It is no longer that. And the reality is we have fewer homes basically under $1 million than we do over $1 million. Many fewer. Almost half. Why is competitive under 950? Active condos? When we get to the averages, when I started pulling them over the weekend, I turned to Gail and said, oh my God, our average condo in San Diego is $740,000. And if you've been out looking at condos, we have some crap out there that's included in that number. Listed compared to sold. So this took my breath away too, because it was the first time in a very long time we've seen absorption rates under 70%. Now, this is 1 month. It's the month of January. It's going to have less absorption. But look at the disparity. So 46% over 2 million. And nearly, close to 100%, yeah, 85%, where the market's really moving, where we've got the most demand, where we're shrinking in inventory. So supply demand, if we have the most demand between 600 and 8,000 and the least amount of supply, what is going to happen inevitably to those prices? Quickly. That price point, that middle tier, is going to go up faster than anything else. What's going to be interesting to see how it plays out is what then happens from $1 million to $1.5 million. We may see the property types not be that much different.
That slide actually for the first time looks like, do you think there's more price correction to be happening in that $1 and $2 million bracket based on their absorption rate?
No, because somebody who's been coming for a long time, probably Dan Becker, what's the percent of absorption? Oh, that defines a seller's market. 20. So it defines a seller's market. So we gotta wait. Now, in contrast to what we've been in, that looks crazy. But what this means, so everybody who's relatively new, let's take the $1 million to $2 million. In January, we listed 525 properties in that $1 million to $2 million category. 264 sold. So in a blink of time, in 1 month, half of what was brought to market went off market in the form of a sale. That's fast.
I think a better way to say it is, I wonder if some agents don't know how to price property. And they're trying to go.
Well, for sure. So going back to, I forgot to remind everybody, you're going to have emotional breakdowns when a shift happens. We probably should remind you, you're going to find a whole lot of shitty agents because they're going to be exposed. And for sure, when you get a market that is more skill-based, which this is, the lack of skill is exposed. So we did see that in the late second and third quarter last year, where we didn't know where to price property as an industry. There was a learning curve, and so we saw our sales price to list price ratio take down into the low 90s. It's back where it should be now. So countywide, we've adjusted pretty well. There's still going to be the outliers.
Okay, but that's kind of funny to say it tanked into the 90s. It's really
Low 90s.
Yeah, but still, most anywhere else, that's pretty normal.
Healthy is going to be between 96 and 98. But again, when on the front end or the back end of a shift, you're guessing. And you're learning kinesthetically. You're learning by being in the market and where buyers are willing to put things. So that's always going to be about a 6-month period. We're through it. So now you'll see we're about 97%. Okay? New listings. This is so funny. So I like the trajectory. If that trajectory would continue, we'd actually all be very happy. The challenge is, where is the actual number? It's still low, especially on condos. Well, actually both. So the numbers that are posted on there are the every January back to 2019. I do that so you can see the contrast. It was the lowest January on San Diego record for new listings brought to market and sold, including all of 2008.
Say the whole thing again.
So lowest January on record for new listings brought to market and closed units in San Diego MLS history, including 2008. Now, my breath could come back when I realized the last week of January and continuing through February, people started listing more property. That trend is not continuing, but it was definitely in January. So we may see a February that's on par with, what I'm planning on is that we'll see numbers more like 2019 and 2018. Somewhere probably in between those 2 years. And I would, as an agent, just plan on that too. Okay, actives. So this is showing that our market time is a little bit longer than it was last year. That's all this is showing, because once something comes on the market, it's staying on the market about 30 days versus 5.
So that was active listings as of the end of January.
Yes.
Because the numbers that I added up from 2047, and this looks substantially more.
Say again?
So the ones that you had at the very beginning where it broke down like under 500.
That is up today.
Oh, that's up to today.
6:30 this morning. That's why these slides, if they don't have a time frame on them, like today it's 5:30 in the morning, then it's the month of January, or where we ended January 31st. Pendings, again, that tick up. Oh, that's cool. Should be the soundtrack for the year. Solds. Now, based on what's pending, that trajectory up is what we're going to see this month. Because if it pended in January, it's going to sell in February. Right? Make sense? Median sales price. This also made me smile. I had projected with you guys that we'd see more substantial depreciation in December and January than we're showing. It is so minimal, it's crazy. So the median sales price over 4 years has gone up $234,000. That's 9.5% a year. And from last January to this January, we went for the median backwards by 3.6%. That's minuscule. It is not substantial, and I think because of the demand and the lack of supply, we're going to gain that 3.6% back by March. Condos, even better story. 10.5% average annual appreciation, and we only went backwards 0.8 of 1%. 0.8%. January over January.
It's a little deceiving.
Why?
Because most analysis that you see is from the peak down to where we are now. So when you look at it and you say, oh, it's still appreciated that much, it really hasn't, because people are comparing what the top.
Well, so he's saying on a peak to trough comparison, which is what most of the media outlets are going to do, it's not going to look like this. This is as close as we can get to comparing apples to apples. What does January do? What does January do? And to hold our value that well, when everybody said we were really tanking, that surprised me.
It's a 15% decline.
In units closed, from the peak.
Price per million to 850.
From the peak to the trough, yes, but we're going to see that in every year. seasonality.
But that's a good way to sell to people and to explain to people, hey, you've got this window where it's already declined. Ask them what
Sure.
are you looking for that decline, and they'll tell you, oh, well, I'm waiting for the market to crash. What does that mean to you? 10 to 20%. Well, guess what?
It's not going to happen.
We're already at 15% down, so what are you waiting for?
Yeah.
From
From the. All right, let's go to the average.
Right?
So 52% 4-year gain in the average. Median and average are different. 52% over 4 years, which translates into $403,000 or over $100,000 a year in appreciation on the average. And I didn't even know how to really write this. I had to look it up because when I do the math on these, I do it on my cell phone. And I'm like, how do you convert that many zeros and a 5 to a percent? So it's half of 1%. Backwards for the average. Half of 1/10%. Sorry, half of 1/10%, and less, and 1/10% on condos. So, and it's the slowest month of the year, and the slowest month of the year ever in the month of January in San Diego real estate. So we're not going to see. I thought we might see, and Alan Nevin said it last week. We might see 10% depreciation this year. The numbers we're starting out with don't tell me that.
depreciation?
Yeah, I don't see it either. Now, this is kind of fun, median market time, because I actually don't remember January of 2019 being at 32 days, because it was just a blip. It's a slow month. What happened after that with days on market? And by the way, 30 days, 28 days, that is not a lot of market time. Yeah. So we'll be back down. I'm sorry to say for you guys and how fast you have to get to things. We'll be back down in the teens and maybe single-digit market times by midsummer. Month supply, still at 1.1 to 1.2. Crazy. There you go. Average list price to sales price, 95.7% for houses, 97% for condos. Pretty darn healthy. So what that means, I think, is listing agent put a listing price on a house, got into negotiation, buyer negotiated a little bit, and got some money off the price. We didn't miss the price. We just allowed for a little negotiation. Price per square foot, it's just going to echo everything else, but to go from $420 a square foot to $600 a square foot for condos in San Diego over 4 years is just crazy. Okay, these are the SDAR slides. They had a couple things right this time. It says demand for housing. I say that because I usually show you these so that you don't just go mimic what they're saying because they get most of it wrong. So, got to look at it with a critical eye. Demand for housing persists. Instead of them ringing the bell going, the market's crashing. Demand still persists, but higher mortgage interest rates have cut into housing affordability. True statements, factual. With total home sales down 17.8% last year compared to 2021. Total home sales, that's a nationwide number. That's not San Diego. Our number is much higher than that. Of course. Okay. The next one, detached homes pending sales decreased by 21.7% for detached homes and 31.1% for attached homes. Inventory increased 14.3% and 36.2%. You have to look at these kind of numbers and go, should I talk percentages or should I talk raw numbers? Because if I say, oh my God, inventory is up 30%. But then I go to, there's 84 homes and condos available under 400,000. Both are true. Okay. Median sales price was down 3.5% for detached homes, but increased for attached homes. Days on market increased by 79.2%. That, you talk numbers like that, it can feel like the sky is falling. Again, 28 days, 30 days. If you list, you still better be ready to move really soon. Although home prices remain high, mortgage rates declined steadily, this is the last paragraph, through January, falling to their lowest level since September, sparking a recent surge in mortgage demand. We saw starts go up and then go down. Lower rates should aid in affordability and may soon lead to an uptick in market activity ahead of the spring selling season. We're going to see an uptick just because seasonality does impact us. Here's another thing Alan Nevin said last week, and I hadn't yet considered. There's something that happens nationally next year. Big thing. Anybody know what I'm talking about? It's a presidential election year. The money and the pressure of the campaigning will start at the beginning of the third quarter and go this year. And he showed a graph, I don't know if I included it this time, where every year that there's a presidential election, the president puts pressure on the Fed to lower interest rates starting when that campaigning really gets going. So Alan said he wouldn't be surprised to see rates in the 4s in September and October. Just another perspective. I went, oh, that's probably, if you can have historical data that shows that, maybe. All right, next. The overall median price was up. We already looked at that. Property type with the largest gain was condos, because that's where people are seeing the most competition because we have so little. All right, now, I put that here just to remind you, as long as we have low inventory and high demand, the prices are going to go up. None of the other market factors matter. That is a law. The only thing two things would make our prices go down over an extended period of time would be an extreme increase in supply, which isn't going to happen, or an extreme decrease in demand, which isn't going to happen. So we may live this for the rest of our real estate careers. So a little bio on Alan, just so you can see. This was a surprise to me, and I would love, maybe Movement can speak to this at some point. Across the country, this is not San Diego data, 39% of the houses are owned free and clear, no mortgage. Now, my guess is most of those people are probably 65, 70, 80 years old, right? Been there a long time. Might be something we want to look at. So what are the strategies to free up that inventory? Because they're not worried about going from a 2% to an 8% rate. They're 100% equity. Maybe. Population in California. We are shrinking, but not rapidly. So when you hear all that crap about, oh, people are fleeing California, they're fleeing a lot of different counties in California, and it's generally the very, I'm going to say poor population, or the very rich population for tax reasons. Yeah.
So going back to what you just mentioned about that older population going from a 2% to an 8%, they're not going to care about that because when they bought it was probably 16%.
Oh no, they've got cash. That's the point. The other point, when I was talking to somebody else with this yesterday, is the reverse mortgage industry has a lot of opportunity. A lot. And again, if we're coming from service, I'm living this myself. If you want to stay in your home and you're 75 or 80 years old, you probably have to modify that home to accommodate you. And a lot of people on Social Security don't have that cash, but if they can get a reverse mortgage and we can advise them who to talk to for that.
We do reverses.
They do more, yeah, Movement does reverse. So 250,000 people are projected to leave the state this year. Compared to our overall population, that's not horrible. What's interesting, Alan really knows his demographics, and he does a lot of projecting out based on growth. And essentially, no country in the world is growing at this point because people have fewer children. And he talked about China really being screwed because when they had their one-child policy, somehow they ended up having like to 4 times the men than they do the women somehow. We don't want to know what happened. But that then means for pretty much the rest of history, because they can't have babies. Whoops. And what is your population drive? Everything in your economy. So he was making a case that if we're not going to end up popping out more babies, anybody signing up for more? You want more? Oh, cool. 1 in the whole room. You got to have 1 for each of us. That trend is probably not going to go to more children per household. So the only way we can keep our economy growing over the long term is immigration. Period. We need to bring more people into our country. People want to come to our country. We need to bring them in to even sustain where we're at. That's doubly true in California because of what powers our economy. And we're very lucky to be in San Diego, where it's right here. Like, we've got the immigration much easier than San Francisco could. Building permits. So again, this is a California-wide number, but what he brought up, I thought 95,000 new housing units is kind of cool. I'm like, we're building that many? We are, but they're not for sale units.
Rentals?
The vast majority are rentals. San Diego's the same way. So then Debbie asked, well, why is that? And when it comes to first of all, most of these are also condos or townhomes, multiple unit living, not single family homes, because we don't have, even statewide, a whole lot of tract size development land. So when you're building condos, there's something, how many have sold anything downtown since 2004? So unique to the state of California, this HOAs can sue the developers for up to 10 years after the building was completed, and they almost all do. So developers who got really burned in that, in all that construction litigation, have said, we're not building condos anymore, we're building apartments, and we'll wait 10 years, and then we'll turn them into condos.
I think they were going to have a lot of condo conversions from 22, 23, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it depends on where those time frames are, but that's the reasoning why. So even those 95,000 units, we're not going to see for 10 years in the sale market. And it's only going to be a portion of those anyway. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes, in a scary way.
In a scary way, and that's statewide. Okay, that one updates. Home ownership and prices. So I did not know this either, and I should have, because Gary Keller, who we're going to see on Sunday, talk a lot of these same national numbers, has always said we basically go between 64 and 65% on a national level of a home ownership rate. That's where we want it. 65% of people own their homes, 45% don't, or 35% don't. Evidently, historically in California, it's only been 55%. He didn't know why, but that's it. We run 10 points behind what the national average is. And we kind of stay there, regardless of the market, regardless of the year. Interesting, huh?
So you'll move here with $1 a drink one of places, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah.
Here for a couple of years.
All right, this is very interesting. So it's a Redfin study that he pulled from. The majority of online searches for relo into San Diego come from where? So I show you this because every single one of you should be meeting LA agents.
Where do they do that, actually?
Hammond Union in LA in 48 hours. What I also found interesting is how many people are fleeing LA, because it's not just to San Diego. It's the top for Phoenix and Vegas. Dallas.
Another 3 states all have taxes.
The same thing that happens when people say everyone's leaving California. It's the same thing happening in Los Angeles. There's a crap ton of people there, so they can afford to lose all those people because of the inbound people. It's literally the same thing that's happening. California had the most people leave the state in this last year. However, it was only 3% of our population because we are a giant state. And it's the same thing with LA. Like,
well, LA is so big.
It's so big.
But I have this conversation all the time because I travel around the country and people are going, oh, we're looking at moving to LA. I'm like, no, come to San Diego. Because you'll be in LA for 2 years, you go, screw that, and you'll come to San Diego. So just come to San Diego.
You're welcome.
No, but LA is so great.
Nice to visit.
All right, so here's the slide where he says this, and it just, I want to talk to him about it because I don't see his logic in that projection. But he says the aging, that's his words, not mine. Based on current aging patterns, 87% of the future population of the county, this is San Diego, will be over 75.
This is for 2050.
Yeah.
Well, people with money
That's
move here on
assuming that
purpose
it
because they want to.
Well, we're not having babies, is his point. So we've got the baby boomer generation, and then there'll be my generation that becomes the next 75-year-olds, and we're not backfilling behind us. All right, that's it for this month. Questions? Can you make it the next 60 days? If you're having an emotional breakdown, reach out to us or each other. It's going to happen. And it's okay. Yes, Phyllis. Love your hair, by the way.
When do the agent numbers start dropping, like lemurs off the cliff?
Great question.
They already have.
I got that visual. Can I put some in line? As Sarah just said, they already have. So we heard this week that from a national perspective, through the end of January, NAR has already lost 50,000 members.
December to January.
So December to January. Now, put that in perspective. I believe we've bloated to 1.4 million. So 50,000 is like nothing. Now, the reality of how all those associations work, and you all know this, when are your dues? When do you get your first billing for your dues? October of last year, you got the bill. And they said, we will incentivize you if you pay it by November. And then you get phone calls through December and January, and you get the really threatening phone calls in February, and by the end of March, they kick your butt out if you haven't paid. So by the end of March, we'll know the numbers, but it's currently happening. To give you some, and I'll do it for next month. I want a couple more months of data, not just the first slow month of the year. I can tell you experientially, we had a call yesterday with the region. There are 16 Keller Williams offices in our region. That includes Orange County and San Diego. You know what, let me pull it up on my phone. Most of our offices have over 200 agents. Most, not all. We've got some cute ones. Some petite ones. But our business model, because of how we charge for cap and everything else, our offices have to be big. So, give me a second. I probably should have included this. I didn't want to freak you guys out too bad. So we have our regional call yesterday. Actually, did you send it to me? It's the one that you sent last night on the Zoom.
Oh, okay.
Can you send it to me?
Agents in and out?
No.
War piece.
No. All right, so here's what I'll say. I'll just speak for us. I'm not even going to point anybody else out. For the last 6-7 years, we had 21 offices in the region. We were always 5th or 6th ranked. Okay? Not bad. We're now number 1 in many of the categories. Yes.
Because we're awesome.
It is because we're awesome. It's because you guys are awesome. And at the same time, that's a little scary because it means those other offices went back like that. So last month, January, I wish Nancy was here. If you're coming to family reunion, so is she, so you'll see her. How many agents do we have?
Oh, total? In our office?
Yes.
311.
311.
Great number.
311. 311. Okay? How many transactions do you think we closed last month?
I did one.
Okay, we got one over here. Guess. Guess.
Can I take the referral agents out of that?
46.
35.
33. 33 units in an office this size closed. And we were number 2, I think, in closed units, maybe number 3. So when I say it's uncomfortable, it isn't. It's not just uncomfortable for you all, but we know there's light at the end of the tunnel. And by the way, that's outperforming the other offices. So the other thing I found yesterday as I went into this little rabbit hole, we have software that can show where the market share levels are. So if I'm looking at how do we compare with Compass, I can look at a zip code and see how many units we sell compared to them. And usually I'll look at the zip codes that I know you all do a lot of business in. We're below the 52 freeway, down to Tijuana, out through La Mesa. That's usually the metro area I define. And we're usually number 1, sometimes number 2 in that area. Countywide, all the way up to above Oceanside and out to Tempe, basically, we're never, as an office, in the top. You're not on the screen. We are number 8, I checked, in the entire county. Our office, compared to all of EXP, all of Compass, all of the brand names put together, our office is number 8 out of all brands in San Diego.
Doing 33 transactions.
Well, and that's for the last 12 months. That wasn't just January. So, again, if we're feeling it, oof, and we're okay. We're actually beyond okay, but they're popping out as we speak because there's no other option. You shared some of the big brand names with we're not joking, it's now literally called Anywhere. So for years, Rheology, Century 21, not Berkshire.
No, not Berkshire. Century 21.
Coldwell Banker, Sotheby's. So it's one parent company that owns all those brands. They're now called Anywhere. Yes, I know. It's the name of the corporation now. It's Anywhere. Who cares? Anywhere. I'm glad you're laughing because now the hard part, they're closing offices overnight, but just wholesale closing and leaving towns, which sucks. I've shared many times here in October 2008, we had 23 local to metro offices go out of business in 1 month. And the human cost of that, it's hard. It's really hard because you guys are all like connected in an office space, right? You think the company's going to be there for you, and all of a sudden they literally go, you have to find a place to be tomorrow. That's happening now. So stay in close relationship with the agents that you like because they may need us. And some just aren't going to make it. What, Simone?
Do we have a bunch of new agents?
We're growing like crazy. But even not new agents. See.
New to us.
Oh, we are Sarah's going to be number 1 in Keller Williams nationally, I think, in terms of growth. I truly think so. Yeah.
You know I get embarrassed.
You got really red.
Sorry.
But that only matters if we're actually taking care of the people that we have. And we do both really well. So I'm excited. I know, again, we're treading water, holding our breath, whatever, for the next 60 days. But I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. So if you guys need us, lean on us. And hopefully next week or next month, we'll see that trajectory ticking up even more. Okay? Go to family reunion.
Thank you, Ashley.
Anybody who has family reunion questions wants to stay in the room, we'll talk about it.
Yes.
Whoever you bring us.